Andrew, thanks for being with us again. The question we've got this week is very much about team building, and the church planner we were talking to wants to know what's the best training for evangelism. Like if you're trying to bring your team on board and you want to equip them for the task you've got, what's the best training for evangelism?
The best training for evangelism is to do evangelism. Just straight and simple. You can go through courses, and there's lots of merit in that. I'll perhaps make some comment of that in a second. But really, in the end, the best training is to actually get out and do it. There's lots of ways to achieve that. Couple of the different ones we've done. I instituted some years ago a thing called Otto, outreach to others, and I would lead a group every Tuesday night for a 6-week block, and we'd go door knocking. We'd just door knock the suburb, and we'd gather at 7 o'clock at night or 6:30 at night and pray, go out in pairs for an hour and a half, meet back, debrief, do it for 6 weeks. It's containable. People don't feel like they're committing their whole life. They've got an end to it. And that process of actually being involved together in the task of talking directly is the powerful tool to train in evangelism. But the kind of evangelism you want to do in church planning is not simply door knocking. You want to raise up a team of people who will use their lives in everyday contexts to reach people around them, so that they'll be doing the friendship evangelism, the workmate evangelism, the inviting people to things, getting involved in their lives. The way to train in that is as a leader of a team to begin to model it. Certainly, bring people along with you as you have friends around. Share stories of others, get people who are doing it to share and speak into these things. But also, I think as a leader, you've got to keep being the guy who invests heat into this group to get that on the agenda, to begin getting to people to set goals and expectations. They will do it, and they won't build a bridge they never cross. To be the people who actually hold each other to account for what I am doing with my friends. How come I've not had them around for dinner yet? When am I going to do it? Tie myself to these things. And so as a leader, I'm actually wanting to stir the heat for that and inject heat into that through preaching, Bible study, prayer, one-to-one conversations, modelling.
Actually, you raised a really interesting issue there. By saying you've got to keep evangelism on the agenda, you're suggesting that other things could push it off the agenda? I mean, I don't mean just normally family life, but I thought if you're planning a church, surely the whole idea of church would just be evangelising. Are there other things that churches are involved in that can push evangelism out of the way?
Anything and everything can push evangelism out of the way. It's the thing we seem to get to last, and it's the thing that is often at the back end of our minds, and we're bringing it forward is a constant challenge. I just think viability takes it off the agenda. As soon as a church plant gets past being aware as this small group of 30, 40 people that if we don't get and grow this thing through evangelism, where the thing's dead, that actually forces it to be on the front of the mind. But as soon as you hit viability, that drops off the front of the mind into the back. And so as a leader, my job is to keep it at front mind, not let viability stop it, not let all the other good things that you can do as a church. There's a whole raft of things we need to be doing together. Evangelism isn't the only thing. We need to be pastoring and nurturing, caring for people, creating community. We need to be actually teaching the word and discipling into, there's a whole bunch of stuff we need to be doing, let alone setting up the building and getting chairs out and so on and so forth. And so everything is a potential distraction.
Okay, well, let's finish up with these courses you mentioned. Have you found any particular courses or resources that might be helpful? Just a couple you might be able to name off the top of your head.
Look, I think go to Matthias Media. The new Go Therefore site is actually not a bad place to start. Materials I've used in the past are all older. The 2 Ways to Live training material I think is still around. We run our own stuff here now, so we don't. We've made up our own. We start with training material that's much further back for people just start talking. So something that the Department of Evangelism in Sydney, Jim Ramsey's pulled together. Just Start Talking is just actually teaching people to begin saying hello to those that they don't know, that are not Christians. So there's way back, but then you've got the 2 ways to live kind of training, which is how do I then engage in conversation that takes things further. So there's some material that's worth pursuing. But again, I just think the great thing is to set each other targets just to get started, to do it. Do evangelism. That's the best way to learn evangelism.
Mate, that's excellent. Thanks very much for the advice. And again, we'll have an email address coming up shortly, so if people want to send more questions, but once again, I guess we'll see you next time for a bit more wisdom. See ya.